here for Fnatic. Jace and Diana being taken out for ELOBlade. And these are very similar bans as he had to game number 1. See if there's any deviation here. Shen still being banned out for Fnatic. And is there going to be just straight up carbon copy here? Fizz was the last ban for ELOBlade game number 1. So we'll see if there's any change up here. I'm not expecting any.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah,
there we go.
No
Same
change.
bans. Same bans.
There are a couple of really strong champions open, though. Fnatic, they could go with that Ahri still, probably going with the Ezreal with the first pick. Though Sona is a possibility, or Nunu. So we'll see if they kind of change their style of play a little bit. But I would expect to probably see that Ezreal pick as the first pick for Fnatic. Just because it is a very comfortable AD for them, even though Graves was really disruptive in the last game.
So it's waiting for the first. Yeah, this is the only thing that has changed here. First pick now going to Fnatic. I don't know, do you think they'd want to secure the Nunu? They didn't really have to last time.
It would really be if there's a change of philosophy from game number 1 to game number 2, if they think that the Nunu was that disruptive. But in the jungle, Nunu wasn't really the issue for their team. It was the Skarner pick that really hurt them. Fnatic, they had the Nunu last game, but it wasn't game-changing for them. It wasn't able to shut down Skarner, but there you go. So they're going to go with it anyway.
Secure that Nunu.
It is a very safe pick, and you would normally think that Nunu would shut down Skarner initiation if you can get the Nunu ultimate off, but they were kind of just backing as a team as opposed to Nunu setting and just sitting down and trying to shut down their initiation.
Yeah, I think ELOBlade may very well go for the same game plan, because Sona and Orianna, these are the same first two picks that they made in game number 1.
And the game was very even the entire time.
It really was.
There's not like, any team had this particular weak comp that they just couldn't run with. But we'll see if Fnatic, if they just want to run it back, they could, just go that like, down basketball court, just street style. And it's like we're running it back, but we'll see, where they go here.
Yep.
If they want to pick the Graves to counter him out, so they might actually stick Nunu as a support.
Yep. Nunu was in the jungle last time. If the Maokai pick will indeed happen, we'll see the Maokai in the jungle, look for the Twisted Advance and all the great initiation teamfight control that the tree brings to the team. Nunu support, though, is hopefully see an appropriate AD. Yeah,
probably a more aggressive AD than Ezreal.
Like a Corki.
Yeah, if they go with a Corki or a Graves with the Nunu. Ezreal does work well with the Nunu, but there you go. So Ezreal can't really take advantage of the Nunu support as well as a Graves can, because Graves, Nunu can just shut down the enemy AD damage, so you want an AD carry that will take advantage of the attack speed and just chase them down and pick up those kills. Now, though, all of a sudden, ELOBlade, they have the Ezreal Sona lane, and that is a very strong lane. We talked about in game 1 how Fnatic, they might have actually been picking the Ezreal to prevent that Ezreal Sona combo, and also the fact that they really like the Ezreal. But we'll see how ELOBlade can take advantage of that.
As we mentioned before, Ezreal's part of that trinity. He's very good, a very good bunch of ADs. They're just at top of the
the holy trinity: Corki, Graves, Ezreal.
It is. Yes, it is. So, but yeah, with the Sona though, that is a lot of poke. That's a lot of damage. You'll be seeing, could be seeing that Sona getting into that brush for a lot of play, getting those Qs off, just to assist that push, just to get that harass on. Now it's a matter of jungle and top lane for ELOBlade. See who they're considering. They could go for the Aurelia once again. There's the Udyr going in the jungle. It's been a while. You don't see Udyr too much these days.
Yeah, it's interesting. Udyr and Skarner are very similar junglers as far as jungling speed. Udyr has a little bit stronger ganks. His early game is just absolutely incredible. If Udyr can tag you with his E, then you are basically going to die because he has so much follow-up damage with his Phoenix and with his red buff. He will combo well with Orianna. However, it is interesting that they are changing that up from the Skarner pick, considering the Skarner had worked so well. But I think they're kind of concerned because they're seeing what Fnatic's doing, and starting off with the Maokai could get the Twisted Advantage on the Skarner to shut him down. Yeah. But then also, they're changing things up now, and so I think ELOBlade was expecting a change from the Ahri, and Zyra has that, kiting potential. She won't allow those mobility junglers to engage on her. You have that snare to just shut them down. And so they were kind of concerned that Skarner might not get the same initiation opportunities as he had in the previous game. Yeah. So the benefit, they can still go with the Aurelia here, and Aurelia would work very well against Yorick, but they have to be concerned that maybe Fnatic is is going for a 1v2 swap. And I think that's why ELOBlade is hesitating right now, because normally Aurelia would be the perfect complement to this combo. They would be like, okay, Udyr, he can run in with his shield, he's going to be very tanky, and everyone's going to focus on him, and then we have the Orianna follow-up, or we have Aurelia come in for the Orianna follow-up. However, if Fnatic does go for that lane swap, you know, they might be at a little bit of a disadvantage because Aurelia might be shut down a little bit early on, so they go with someone that has the capabilities to more safely 1v2.
Yep, Cho's being considered. Malphite's also open. You can get that Malphite Orianna combo if you really want. But it looks like ELOBlade will be more than happy to have that Cho, give him a snack. And yes, we do have to talk about the potential 2v1. You know, just not only with this combo, whenever Yorick is being considered.
Oh, and it's Yorick with the Graves as the AD, since Graves is the strongest pushing AD really in the game. He really works well in a 1v2 because you want to take the tower very early, and that's where the advantages are that you're looking for.
So, yeah, and Graves Nunu does a lot of attack speed. There's a lot of innate attack speed, a lot of steroid, so that can be a very, very big push on that lane. Zyra versus Orianna in the mid. That's the potential for a lot of harass on both ends.
Yeah, it's been a very common lane matchup in the past. Orianna is a little bit better at you know, persistent harass. However, Zyra, she just has the, you know, charm, and or if you hit the snare, then you're done. Like a snare on anyone, Zyra has so much damage, so they can kind of both poke out. So, but Frontlord will probably play kind of passively just because of how much damage Zyra can front load with that snare. So we'll see how that kind of plays. But they have kind of similar play styles, and I always kind of felt that when Zyra was released, that she was very similar to Orianna, and we're starting to see how popular Orianna was. Because they both have this kind of kiting style where they, you know, they want to dance around the edge of the fight and then just kind of back off. And as you engage on them, Orianna throws off her QW combo to kite you and get some damage, whereas Zyra throws off the snare. So Zyra has a little bit more burst damage that's not quite as ult reliant, but they both have a similar playstyle. Zyra just has a little bit harder CC and does combo very well with the Maokai.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this recently too, because we've been seeing an increase in Zyra play, and a very severe drop in Ryze play. And when you consider someone in the mid, like, you know, Ryze, he does have that prism. You do get the snare from Zyra. You know, you have very similar deflection from jungle ganks. You have, you know, somewhat similar burst damage, just that Zyra is a little more bursty and a little less tanky.
Yeah, it's interesting, and they are very different champions, you know, play style wise. However, when you do see all of these long range pushing champions, that's kind of always been the big weakness for Ryze, is he can't counter push, and so these long range champions will just poke him down, harass him, and push him into the tower, and that is a big reason why he's kind of dropped off. XPK actually going for movement speed, but he also has a lot of ability power, you know, scaling as the game progresses. But that movement speed, we'll see if he's actually looking for you know, any sort of mobility to roam, or if that's actually just to get in quicker on FnaticRaidCall. So we'll see if FnaticRaidCall has changed things up. He is still running that heavy ability power page, so looking for that harass damage will be very strong to try and counter out that Zyra. So it really is a very intriguing skill matchup. It's just purely comes down to you know, who thinks they're the better player and can take advantage of that.
Let's also take a look at the Cho and the Yorick while we're at it. See the runes on the Cho. So you got the movement speed, a little bit of attack speed, also 0.21.9, gonna be a very tanky
That's
Cho.
Interesting. Those are like jungling Cho
kind of
runes and masteries.
This is a little bit, yeah. Huh. And let's take a quick look at the Yorick.
I mean, Cho doesn't really need a lot of anything, so he goes with the defensive end. Yorick going with the physical damage. Doesn't have mana regen, like you might expect if he was going for the 1v2. He might go for a little bit more mana regen early on, but he does have defense. And usually Cho actually doesn't get off a lot of harass, so going with the armor might indicate that he's going with that 1v2 situation, because Cho's harass damage is actually, it's kind of weak. You know, he can try and zone you off of minions with his auto attacks, but for the most part, you really don't need that much defense to play against Cho. So yeah, we'll see whether or not that's what he's expecting. Both of them, they do go with that teleport, so both are looking for that mobility and need that quick lane swapping, but also help with the team.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, Cho, for the most part, he's just going to yell at you. In the off chance he does hit you with a rupture, then he can follow up with a little bit something more. But yeah, the harass from there, nothing too big to deal with here. Also notice Zyra and Graves, both going for summoner heal.
Yeah, so you know, that will you know, help protect them a little bit. Zyra doesn't really need the damage from the ignite, though it would probably throw her over the edge to just make sure she could kill Orianna. But it's interesting. So, like we were saying, Orianna has more persistent harass and is going to try and lower Zyra to low health over time. So Zyra can counter that off with a heal, because Orianna's damage is actually not very high. However, Orianna does have the advantage of or Zyra has the advantage of already having a lot of burst damage, and they will try and take advantage of that. So Zyra knows she has enough damage to beat Orianna without, you know, the matchup. So she's not really that concerned about the losing the ignite. But the heal, if she heals, then Orianna probably doesn't have enough to kill her. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that kind of factors in.
Not to mention, once you start hitting into the mid games, hitting into the late game, people, you know, remember, Summoner Heal does still scalable level, is very annoying to deal with in the heat of many team fights. And there's two of them. You're not going to be seeing them used back to back. You're going to be seeing them used in sequence team fight after team fight, because there is that heal reduction right after you use it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how long that lasts, or how significant that is.
It's significant and long enough to deal with that you're not going to do it twice in one team fight.
Yeah, so we'll see how Fnatic can try and turn this around, and where they're going to be looking to go with the lane's standard items. So no giveaway there. But
oh, actually, no, you still have the stock up full on wards on Sona, no Fairy Charm.
Yeah, so, you know, again, that will protect against an aggressive jungler like Maokai, or if she's planning on sitting in lane for a long time. But all of a sudden, Fnatic, they're actually moving out. They will catch out FnaticRaidCall if they can get the snare from Maokai. He does actually get it after the flash from FnaticRaidCall. So just barely not enough damage, but FnaticRaidCall does have to back off. He did lose the flash, whereas Fnatic, they didn't lose any summoners. And so now that's a flashless Orianna versus Zyra and Maokai in the mid lane.
And a Maokai, a jungling Maokai who went for Twisted Advance first. That is actually a huge, huge misstep for Cyanide and Fnatic. If you're going to be going for Twisted Advance first on a jungle Maokai, you need your kill to make sure you don't fall behind. Now he's not going to have any saplings. Now he's going to need a lot of help just to get his level 2.
If he gets the level 2 from the blue, it won't matter. He's going to be safe. However, it is kind of a key for ELOBlade to pressure that blue, and they are all moving in there because they recognize if he can't get that blue buff and get that quick level 2, he's going to be in a really slow situation. And Udyr already has a serious jungling advantage over Maokai with jungling speed. So, you know, we'll see how that progresses. But they are going to give him some help. It seems like they're going to sit back for the red, though, because they saw that Sona warded here, and they saw the Cho rupture, so I think they're a little bit concerned themselves that they might face some pressure up at that blue.
Cyanide will grab the Wraiths with a little bit of help from Zyra, but the blue buff on Fnatic's side is mutually warded. Ping's going down up into the tri-brush near top lane, so Fnatic, they have an idea.
Oh, they're going for it.
They are going for it, so is that 55-second time when the buffs do spawn. ELOBlade, they're going.
It is a 4v3, though.
It is a 4v3. You got Yorick. He is scouting out ahead. The Orb not going to be getting that harass. Looking for more damage. Cotnex will be caught in a Twisted Advance. Does flash either, but XPK with the auto attack harass will be more than enough. First blood going to Zyra. The blue buff was also stolen by Cyanide, so actually it's a good, pretty good situation for Fnatic. They may also pick up FnaticRaidCall here. Also, the Raise the Ghouls, another kill for XPK in the mid. Put so far behind, Kerp does have to flash into the base and is actually going to be teleporting out to the top lane just to get the safety.
Yeah, but huge early advantages for Fnatic, and a number of summoners are blown, but Cyanide, he was able to outsmite Udyr, which gave him the level advantage in that fight. So that was really big, you know, to have that quick turnaround. Then they were able to chase them down since it was a 4v3, and Fnatic, they wanted to force it because they knew they couldn't set Maokai that far behind. Now they have a 2-level advantage in this top lane, and he has a mana pot as well, so he's going to spam down Cho'Gath, and Cho'Gath without any mana will struggle. Now, Cho'Gath, he does have a lot of great regen up at the minions and will be very strong versus Yorick, generally speaking, but once you wear Cho'Gath down where he doesn't have the mana to spam, or if you can take off a little bit of his health, then he can't be comfortable enough in order to get up to last hit the minions, and so he doesn't get that passive advantage. So we'll see how that factors in. Yorick, though, is very strong, and Zyra starting off 2-0. Once XPK goes back for those first items, he's going to be able to put on a lot of pressure on Pharrell Lord.
And Yorick has already backed. What is he buying for himself? Meki Pendant, looking for that tier. So he's going to be looking for a Monamune build. heading on up, but now he just wants the extra mana regen, wants to be able to get the harass down onto Kerp. Kerp has successfully started to spring back. He is level 3 himself, but he's got a long way to go to still try and catch up, because there are still 2 assists onto the York. He got a little bit extra something from those first 2 kills. Also, how much gold does XPK have, actually? Because that was just so much. He's got 1,200. He's not too far. He can just go back on his first back, like, before the 5-minute mark and grab a needlessly large rod if he really wants to.
Yeah, or he could grab a quick chalice for that spam ability. Any number of options. He might decide to go for a quick spell pen boots and use that movement speed advantage to try and chase down FnaticRaidCall and try and see if he can snowball the lane. But Maokai is coming in, and if they can get the twisted advance, follow it up with the snare. XPK is chasing him down, so FnaticRaidCall sees it with his ball and will back up. He recognizes that XPK is trying to zone him here. You
also got Udyr still looking to farm up, looking to catch up, checking the wolves at the moment, but now Maokai, he knows that there's not going to be an opportunity in mid, so Wander on top, might as well try and put Kerp a little bit further behind. And look at York, so as he's been successfully stalling the lane, freezing it over on his end of the river. So now Kerp has no option but to retreat back into the jungle, try and grab some of the neutral creeps, and just try and keep up with farm. Udyr on the side of the mid lane, XPK very wisely hugging the left side, but he's ducking in and out. Udyr's waiting for his one, but here comes Maokai. Cyanide, is he going to make his way into the river? No, he will not. He will just fall back. Yeah, but FnaticRaidCall right now has been playing pretty passively against XPK for the most part, because he's fearing that quick burst damage that Zyra has, but he will be fairly safe. He does have the range, to farm with his Q. The only issue is his mana pool isn't large enough early on, so if XPK is pretty aggressive about pushing him into the tower, then he could quickly wear down FnaticRaidCall. So we'll see, how that factors in. It is just 2 minutes, or actually I guess it's like 3 minutes, because Udyr had a late blue before they can try and get that blue onto FnaticRaidCall. But in the meantime, he seems like he's fairly safe. The positioning of that other seed too, like just out of tower range, just to still get the harass. ELOBlade, they do not know that top ward is right in there in the bush, so Connex will get spotted out. He will actually meander on up to the top rush. I'm pretty sure that he's not going to be fooling anyone on Fnatic. They're like, yeah, we get it. We're still there. I'm not going to be pushing out too far anyway. Kerp getting harassed by the ghouls cannot do too much. I think Kerp's kind of trying to bait it in, so he's trying to be aggressive about farming, make sure he can get as much farm as he can. But yeah, Soaz does recognize he's up there, so he wears down Kerp fairly easily. He takes the free damage because Kerp doesn't want to be too aggressive and scare him back. But for the most part, Udyr was waiting for that counter gank, waiting for Maokai, because Kerp was pushed up to the tower and was low. They were maybe thinking they could bait in Maokai gank and then turn it around with Cho'Gath, but they will be fairly safe to back off there. And bot lane has been fairly safe for them, but right now, ELOBlade, they have been aggressively pushing them into the tower to try and deny some farm on Graves. And Fnatic, knowing that the Udyr was top lane, Maokai swooping on in, stole the big blue wraith, and just got out of there. So, good notion. Know where the enemy junglers go straight in for a quick counter gank. And Maokai now also covering for top lane, because it looks like York's actually going to go back. What he's going to buy, he's going to finish that tier, return to the top lane. Now he's going to have huge mana regen. It's just going to keep stacking as the game goes on. FnaticRaidCall sticking to it in the mid. How's his farm doing? 38 to 53, still somewhat behind the Zyra. And Zyra actually did go for that fast chalice along with the Cage's pick to take advantage of that early gold. So they both have this the chalice. That's really big for Orianna to be able to go back and buy that chalice, but still a slight farm advantage. Going in favor of Zyra. Yeah, and when you have a GP10 being built on the mid lane, or really any lane that's already winning severely in terms of farm, that's just going to keep you, that's going to ensure that you stay ahead as you start going into the mid game and you start going into the late game in terms of income, because you're already behind. It's going to be a monumental task just to catch up and farm. If Orianna can somehow grab 2 kills before XPK gets any more, there's a chance to spring back, but there is still that constant gold coming from that pick. Yeah, and we'll see if he goes for a fast DFG to just get that quick burst potential and just really try and snowball this game with that early advantage. Right now, FnaticRaidCall should be pretty safe, and this is going to be, the testament to how strong of an Orianna player he is, and just player in general, to come back from a 2-0 deficit in lane, which is such a massive advantage for Zyra, but Orianna does have the range to try and farm against it. But FnaticRaidCall was behind game number 1. nothing new here. He's still going to be behind game number 2. And we saw how game number 1 worked out so well for ELOBlade. Lord was still relevant in the later fights. So only time will tell. And he's doing a good job. He's not just giving away meaningless deaths here just in the farming phase.
Yeah, so he has been playing fairly safely. Sona and Ezreal are getting some nice damage into Wulino, but you know, for a nice little farm advantage on Ezreal, primarily because of them pushing into the tower. But he seems to be fairly comfortable. And Soaz, despite the early advantages, Kerp's been able to turn that around. So you know, he's not really falling that much further behind. You know, Yorick. Yorick does have a 20 CS advantage right now, so he has the lead. But Kerp does seem confident enough to be able to farm at those minions.
And Kerp also has the Philo Stone too. He can stay in the lane a little bit longer than expected. When you're behind, GP10s are also great if your enemy has not bought one yet, and as you see now, York did go for the tier first. So that's going to give a little bit of an opportunity for Kerp to catch up, give him the regen, it's going to allow him to stay in lane, and granted you do have all of this extra sustain on York also. He has his mana regen now, he's got the innate regen coming in from his E. So it's just going to be a battle of attrition here in the top.
Yeah, and Soaz has been trying to zone Kerp a little bit, and you know, is able to do that a little bit. So we'll see if that kind of continues. They are looking for some aggression in the bottom lane as Maokai's running up the lane. If he can get the twisted advance onto Metalex, but there's the Sona ultimate to get him out of there, so they will back off and will be safe once again.
There's actually no, I don't think there's actually any vision on the Maokai, so I think that was just a nice, you know, added bonus onto that Sona ult also. And Ezreal coming in through the true shot barrage, like, oh man, there was a tree there. I'm really glad we got out of that one.
Yeah, so I think they saw him as because he wasn't in the bush. He was just running up the lane.
He was running up in the
very
lane
close
into the bush as they were exiting.
Yeah, so you know, they will be pretty safe here, but Cyanide, they do spot him. He is trying to pressure this bottom once again. He could go for the flash twisted advance probably, but there's really no need to because of how low the mana is on Graves, so they won't be able to pressure that.
Kerp got immensely chunked out top lane. He's going to be forced to back. He just cannot handle the pressure coming in from all of those ghouls. What will he buy though? Picking up the Heart of Gold, looking to stack his second GP10, looking to keep the income up there in top lane, despite being a little bit farmed up, but has not yet given up a kill, so good on him.
Yeah, it will be tough for Yorick to get kills, though. Even though Yorick is able to take Kerp fairly low, Cho'Gath can disengage with the Rupture, but then there's also the fact that Yorick doesn't have an Ignite, which will make it difficult for him to follow up that pressure for any kills. But he has been able to wear down Kerp very aggressively, and you know, Kerp is starting to actually struggle in that lane. So
he's going to need armor like really soon.
Yeah, and it can be kind of difficult because there is a mix of both armor and magic damage, or physical and magic damage on Yorick, because his actual ghouls are magic damage, but you know, he does a lot of physical damage himself, and the follow-up attacks are physical damage from the ghouls. Yeah. So yeah, generally speaking, you'll get armor, but it's kind of difficult to itemize against.
But here's the thing though, Yorick is now also looking to itemize into the Brutalizer, so for the extra cooldowns and the armor pen. So you just, you know, throw down the magic and just walk up with the Q for a whole bunch of extra physical damage. It's gonna be rough. I wouldn't think this situation might not be too far out there to have Kerp building something like an Aegis, get a little bit of everything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that will be very strong for his team later on, and it is a fairly gold efficient item. Just usually, you know, he'll want to go for pure, you know, items like cloth armor and not exactly finish it yet. But yeah, he could finish it a little bit later. But I don't know, he's just being chased out of lane. Generally speaking, the best counter to Yorick is to just have lots of health regen, and that's what Cho'Gath has. You know, he has plenty of health regen. He can't get into the lane for it because of the early advantages for Yorick. And actually, ELOBlade now, they're coming down for this dragon, and there's no really great ward coverage. They will spot out Orianna with the sapling here, but it's going to be too late. They will pick this up for a nice to catch up in this game a little bit.
Yep. Quick steal on the dragon. No one from Fnatic's even gonna bother to come on up, check on the dragon. Like, we already know it's gone. We're gonna assume it's gone. Just go back to lane. Go back to your standard fare. XPK staying in the mid. You also got Wu continuing the farm down bot lane. How is he doing versus the Ezreal? Not too hot actually. He's about 20 creeps behind. In addition to all the gold that the dragon just gave to all of ELOBlade.
Yeah, and Graves actually itemizing into the Greaves and also the Doran's Blade, which is very strong early on, and you know, he will have the movement speed to move in and out of lane to farm. However, he will be vulnerable to the damage that MetalX has because he has both the Phage and the BF sword, which allows him to that chasing potential, but also really strong harass. And Graves actually won't finish a BF sword for another 5 minutes or so. So that's a 5-minute time period that Ezreal could potentially wear him down a little bit.
Actually, let's take a quick look at the gold totals too. We'll see how far. So Graves, he's about 300 gold behind, so it's not going to be too far out. But then again, this is all this time that Ezreal has had the BF sword and Graves has not. So, and even then, when Graves goes back to buy, he's going to be going back to buy while he's still relatively healthy. So it's going to be more time for MetalX to get more farm, push the lane, and even make attempts on if Nraid decides to stay. But it looks like now, grabbing the small golems, killing some time, and then going to be going back and grabbing that BF sword pretty soon. And
both junglers, once again, going for the oracles early on. So, you know, Maokai tends to go for it so that he can continue pressuring lanes, because Maokai, you just want to gank constantly. That's when you're going to be the most successful. But Udyr is going for it to prevent some of that map control, and they might actually dive this top tower. It's going to be close to the sea if they have enough damage to take down Kerp, though. And actually, Dark Death Soaz is tanking it for a second, along with that Maokai ultimate. He is getting fairly low, but they drop Kerp very, very quickly. Cyanide actually taking the turret for a little bit, but one last goal, and they're able to pick up that kill.
Ezreal ult coming on up is going to be a little bit too late. You got Udyr going to be coming to the lane in the meantime. But yeah, very nice kill, very nice engage there in the top lane. Orianna looking to farm the race, going to be entering back in the lane. Did finish the Athenes. Zyra got a nice little click. Actually has not finished hers yet. You know, you did buy that lucky pick earlier, so it did put you a little bit more behind from finishing off that. Nice juke on the roots. XPK not getting any off that. But both of the mids, they do have their blue buff. They're going to be sticking around for a little while longer.
And Forellenlord has, I mean, he's almost even with XPK in this lane in farm, despite XPK's early advantages and the constant threat of just instantly dying against Zyra. And that cooldown reduction in mana is exactly what Orianna needs, because your Q drops down to like a 3-second attack. They do get the exhaust on the MetalX, though. There's the Sona ultimate to get him out of there. So they see Maokai as he walks past the minions, and will be able to retreat.
Yep, and also in the mid, this is the worry of buying a GP10 item, because you're setting back a little bit of your build. Nice orb from Orianna onto Zyra in the mid. Gotta keep her behind a little bit, but will not connect with the kill or any more damage. But yeah, because you bought the lucky pick earlier, that's delayed your Athenes. Now Orianna has it for a while you don't.
I actually think that was a really smart play from Orianna to get herself out of there, but Udyr is coming in, and there's the rupture from Cho to pick up Soaz, and they will have the red buff, so Cottonex has plenty of damage. There is the flash for Soaz, so he can try and get out of there. He gets the slow and will try and flash. There it is, missing the rupture, so he will be safe, but it does put a little bit of pressure back. So Forellenlord in that fight situation, he hasn't been using his ultimate for a long time, but he's saving his ultimate for when he gets caught by Zyra's snare, and so he knew he was caught, and so by disabling Zyra, it prevented Zyra from getting any quick damage off the snare, so it really protected him and was a really quick heads-up play.
Zyra now finished with the Athenes, will be coming on back into lane with that. But it looks like is Forellenlord going to be backing? It looks like he is, at the very least, is going to double on back and grab the wolves. And very good on Forellenlord, because he's doubling on back, taking the neutral creeps when they're made available. Cottonex is going to be camping up top lane, so you might as well just take out the neutral creeps while he is occupied. Once again, the bear stance on to Soaz, but York's going to be a little bit more slippery this time around. And bot tier 1 has actually fallen to the Graves.
Yeah, the pushing potential for Graves is very strong, particularly once they leave the lane. They can just clear a minion wave very quickly, and with Nunu, drop the tower fairly quickly, despite the early advantages that Ezreal and Sona have had in that lane. So we'll see how they progress. Ezreal actually going with the Bloodthirster, and then he can transition into the Triforce, which is a pretty standard build, but allows him to keep the pressure. And actually, Graves has gone with the Bloodthirster as well, so that he doesn't fall that far behind. The regen will be nice in that lane as well.
It is a fresh Bloodthirster, though, so no Stack's gonna have to take some time to build that thing up. You got Kerp actually going for the Shroud. Gonna be going into the Frozen Heart later on in, so a little bit extra cooldown reduction, and that Frozen Heart is gonna be vital as you start hitting into the med game, when you start hitting the team fight phase, because Graves, he needs a little less attack speed, I think.
Yeah, it's the damage or the attack speed will help against him, considering they have the Nunu, and it allows him to tank in the front line. He just needs quick gold efficient items so that he can be that front line tank. you know, along with the shields that Orianna provides and whatnot. So we'll see, you know, what he can pick up. One of the big weaknesses with Cho and why he's kind of fallen out of play for a long time is that your damage is so reliant on hitting your Rupture and your Silence. And if you miss your Rupture in a fight, you miss out on a lot of that team fighting potential. Cyanide is chasing down Cottonex, though. Willino is here as well, but he will back off along with Orianna and will be fairly safe there. But, you know, Cho is just a natural tanky body, but if you miss the Rupture, you miss out on, you're just like kind of there. You don't really do a whole lot. So we'll see, you know, how he can build and try and accommodate for that.
Fnatic in the pit right as the Dragon respawns. They should be taking that up very quickly. Oracle's also still on the side. Kerp, though, in the meantime, taking the top tier 1 and continuing the push. So tower for a Dragon, it's not too bad of a trade, but looks like York going to be returning back up to the top lane and get some harass down onto Cho. And there's a potential for a massive push here from Fnatic in the mid. You got 3 champs plus a Maokai playing guard, so it's going to be scaring off Kerp there from the top lane. But it looks like Kerp's going to get some scouting done. Is that a ward? That is a ward over by enemy blue buff.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can pick anyone off. XPK jumping in, trying to get the charm, but will have to back off. He's actually in a really dangerous spot because Cottonex flashing as he's pinched up against the wall. He will be able to get out of there. But there's the Sona ultimate. They did miss XPK, but there's the Orianna ultimate trying to get down to XPK. He is very low and will go down. Frellenlord, along with Cho, is able to pick that up, and they will back off.
Leo's very low. Cotton is very low, but they do manage to get out. They will be fine. Ward's going to be spotting them down in the South River, but there's not enough time to go down there and connect with that. And even meantime, MetalX also getting some free damage down onto the bot tier 1 and should be able to take that one also.
Yeah, so they need a little bit of that counter push to protect themselves. They can't allow, you know, these early gold leads for Fnatic. It is a, you know, just over 2K gold lead right now at 29 to 26.5, and they are, you know, pressuring them some. But I don't know, we'll see how ELOBlade can turn it around. They do get that bottom turret, so that equalizes that bottom lane. But the pressure that Zyra can put on coming in the mid game along with Maokai to just pick off one member in a fight can be so devastating. And it's the Maokai and Nunu combo completely protects Graves. It's going to be very difficult for ELOBlade to put any pressure on Graves, and that's going to make things, I don't know, dangerous for them. The fact that Graves is going to be so powerful and they have no way of stopping him. But
the you do still have the Sona ult, so you can get that initiation. And for Frellenlord, we've seen him before be relatively on point with the ultimates. You don't have to, you know, necessarily get Graves to start. If you can start off the fight and then transition over to try and, you know, penetrate Graves on the back line, yeah, but it's going to take quite a bit to get there. Hopefully Kerp will be able to you know, get the choice silences he needs to help clear the way, because silence against most of it is all ability based to get that CC on. Silence could be huge here.
Yeah, and both Cho and Udyr are anti-carries, so they'll try and chase down Graves a little bit, but it's just going to be difficult with the kiting potential that Nunu and Maokai give him, along with Zyra. So they're going to be able to constantly kite in fights and avoid some of that frontline damage from ELOBlade.
You got Leo from Korea getting very aggressive, and the teleport on the side from Kerp, looking to take out XPK. His flash is not up, will fall immediately, does manage to get the ult after death. Looking for a little bit extra damage too after he dies. Looks to choose to hit the MetalX. You got Maokai with the ult onto the Ezreal as he's flashing away, and MetalX will go down. Cottonex is still here, and everyone's trapping, trying to get the Yorick under wraps. Orb going into the bush, and Fnatic is split here. ELOBlade may choose to continue on with the push. Orb out in front on the Kerp. You got Nunu looking for the Blood Boil on the Yorick to help him get out of there, and a Sapling just to get extra vision. They could go from behind on the tower in tier 1 to go and you try and get this kill on the Yorick, or you just return back to lane, continue on with the push. That's a safer route. Yeah, so it was a fairly even exchange, but ELOBlade starting off, picking off XPK was absolutely huge for them, because Orianna, if XPK is down, then Orianna is one of the strongest champions at winning long, slow fights because of her poking potential and kiting in and out. Sona gets the ultimate, and Cottonex coming from behind. They pick up the quick kill onto Yorick, but the Ghoul, and along with Graves, they will pick up the kill onto Cottonex, and actually Willino gets the red buff. If he can get in range for Kerp, then they will be able to chase him down, but he just barely gets out of there. Yeah, you saw the it seemed like he just didn't even die there for a second. It's like he just went down so quick. It's like, did he actually die? Is he still around? He got the ult off just in time, but yeah, I think it was more of a panic measure. It's like, oh my god, I'm dying, I should ult myself.
And he is going for that, you know, standard kind of Joe build that Hotshot actually started with the Wit's End and the Frozen Heart. So he will be very strong as an anti-carry. It gives him a little bit more damage on his auto attacks, so that you're not with the Wit's End, so you're not quite as reliant on hitting your abilities, and you can chase people down. So we'll, you know, see how that factors in. But Zyra does go for that DFG, so the frontline burst is definitely there. You know, to try and take members down. And then as a whole, they are, Fnatic is fairly tanky in order to protect for Graves in the backline.
So there's been a constant 2K lead that Fnatic has been able to hold for these past few minutes, but as these fights are going on, I could see ELOBlade starting to just slowly but surely bring it back up if they continue to catch members out off guard and without their summoners, like we saw XPK in the side river earlier. Dragon should be coming back up in just a little bit, so that's another objective for everyone to press. And we're starting to hit into mid-game, so we're starting to see you know, attempts and ward coverage up around the Baron area, and you see that the Maokai actually did get a ward inside the pit, just for, or actually outside, right? That's right on the edge. Actually, a ward in the pit.
Inside and sapling out.
Yeah, ward inside, sapling outside, wants to get in, he wants to be warm, he wants to be next to that Baron, but he will not be getting that. Kerp meandering on up, we'll see that sapling going to be taking care of that one, but there is still a ward in the pit to deal with. Leo does, fortunately enough, have an Oracles, but in the meantime, let's dance.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
But,
I love that.
They will back off, and the key for ELOBlade is trying to pick off either XPK or Wulino, and if they can grab either of them, then they'll be able to, you know, then force a fight along with the mobility that Orianna and Sona give them and try and chase them down and win a fight. But the kiting potential is very strong, and Fnatic, they're actually going for the Baron, and with the kill potential that Zyra has, they can drop it very quickly, but ELOBlade, they recognize what's going on. They will be here to defend it. Rupture
in the pit keeps Fnatic away from that one. Kerp does have the feast. Is a smite up for Cotnex? Yes, it is. So Fnatic still looking to get aggressive on this. If they re-enter the pit, there's plenty of options for ELOBlade to attempt the steal, but for now, everyone's transitioned back into the mid. Full 5 on push. You got the Dragon is back up, so Cotnex is going to be taking care of that just on his own, while everyone else is playing distraction here in mid, still pressing up against that tier 1. Throne Lord looking for the poke on the orb whenever he can get it. And he's actually doing a pretty good job. Rupture also in the backline. XPK taking a little bit of damage. But now you see Nunu has realized they're doing the Dragon right now. I'm fighting off against this Udyr. I need a little bit of help. So everyone is now rushing, making their way down. The speed buff from Sona coming on in. ELOBlade's going to be right there in front of the pit. They should be able to take it, and they do. Yeah, so they grab that very quickly, but MetalX taking a lot of damage, and they are in retreat. Actually, Maokai getting in and will shut down Udyr, but there's a lot of damage. Wulino goes down almost instantly to Pharrell Lord, so the Nunu ultimate right in the middle, but they're missing their AD carry, and if MetalX can keep himself alive, they will be very safe. He kites out Cyanide, and they will be able to chase down both Soaz and XPK now. So, incredible fight for ELOBlade, wow. And it all started with picking off Graves. Oh, and a flash from XPK to evade the Rupture. That was the best you could possibly do in that situation. That is 4 for free plus a Dragon for ELOBlade. That's essentially 6 kills worth of gold, and with that they have retaken the gold lead here in addition to that mid tier 1, and the push is going to continue. They could actually take out the tier 2 also. Yeah, they will be able to grab that fairly easily, while Udyr actually probably can take this tier 2 down bot. It actually will be very low, but he is going to back off because they need to be ready to defend this Baron. Because right now, if XPK can come in and stop some of them from recalling, they could maybe force the Baron. He is not going to go for it, but he has the saplings. He can try and start throwing them down anyway so that they can try and drop it really quickly. Actually, Cho teleports in, so immediately he wants to make sure that he is there to defend it and not allow this fast Baron. And Fnatic engaging once again. There is the orb causing havoc in the pit. Barrett is about half health at the moment. Maokai ult being thrown down just to prevent what will be quite a bit of damage. Ezreal ult coming, or Kerp, he wants to steal. Can he feast it down? He gets it. He does get the steal with the feast. But MetalX and Kerp will sacrifice himself, but for a pretty good job to grab that Baron for the rest of the team. Throne Lord does take care of Cyan, and Cotnex right out in front. He wants to stun. He is a bear turtling out, looking to tank all the damage. Killing time for the rest of the team to come on in. You do have the Baron buff. Nice successful steal. You will be remembered, Cho'Gath, for your valor. Yeah, so really nice job, and that's huge for ELOBlade.
because the kiting and poke from Fnatic with that Baron regen would have been pretty devastating. But you know, now they'll be able to hold off. They have, you know, a 4K gold advantage now, and it was almost a dead even game. But you know, just pulling ahead of Fnatic, despite the fact that Fnatic, they had the really early lead, they've been able to make them bring themselves back. And look at that, 306 CS for FnaticRaidCall compared to the 273 for XPK. So both of them are, you know, really farming the Storm this game, but FnaticRaidCall just slightly ahead, even with those early disadvantages.
100 creeps every 10 minutes, man. That's a pretty good goal to set for yourself. Even better than some Mordekaisers, I would think. But with the Baron buff now, Kerp is back. He's coming out of retirement. He did have that death, but that Baron steal was just so absolutely choice. The push will continue in all 3 lanes. Kerp will be rejoining everyone mid. Connex doing a pretty good job pushing the wave, getting that shoved down in bot. And now it seems like Fnatic is a little bit scattered. They're not quite sure where they should defend, where they should be. They got Cyanide down bot lane looking to get that push. Everyone else is sticking around in mid. They're playing very defensive at the tower. And ELOBlade, they can just shove around for the next few minutes here.
Yeah, so actually ELOBlade pushing into them, it will be kind of difficult because of the poke that XPK has in the wave clearing for them to poke down the actual base turrets. So they'll probably want to transition bot or top, but probably bot, and try and push in there. But we'll see, you know, what they try and do.
Yeah, like Kerp is tanky enough. He can just tank out a tower if given the opportunity.
That's true. That is one of the strengths of Cho'Gath, is that late game
Cyanide, what are you
can get the shield from Orianna and just walk up and tank the turret some. But that would be very dangerous against Fnatic's lineup, because he would get snared underneath the turret. They could, you know, wear him down fairly quickly. Cyanide
was on the side there. I can get what he was going for. He wanted to try for a twisted advance while ELOBlade is pushing on in. But I think he realized that how bad of a play that would be, especially with so much damage coming from ELOBlade. He can just, it's just, you know, hey, I'm a target, I'm a tree, take me out. MetalX getting whatever poke he can onto that mid-tier 3. Kerp running interference, soaking up a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be too much. Shield onto CottonX. Running back and forth in circles, looking for free damage, and Shirley's being popped for that retreat, waiting for the next minion wave. And here comes in MetalX. A few free shots on that tower, and the seeds are continuing to drop for Zyra, doing whatever he can. But look at XPK's mana, though. You cannot keep this up forever. You'll eventually run out. There's the Orianna orb, a double kill just on the orb. Sona keeping Yorick dancing. There goes the Zyra, going to get a pop-up on 2 members of ELOBlade, but Dark Death, you got Sona, he will be going down. The Ghoul will not be doing much in the afterlife. Well, you do get the Sona kill, but the damage has already been done here. Kerp will just tank out this tower to tier 3, and mid will fall, followed by the inhib. XPK still very low on mana, is only about half, looking for more damage, but the inhib is now gone. ELOBlade taking that one.
And like you said, they are just too tanky right now. They can just push themselves in and tank those turrets. As they harass them down, they are going for the Nexus turrets, and there is a very short period of time until the rest of them are back. Wheelino trying to get some harass damage onto CottonX, but he's tanked it well enough, and they are all very low. There's the snare onto Kerp, but they will back off, and FnaticRaidCall abusing them, forcing them out of there. Cyanide gets the ultimate, and Kerp does go down, but there it is. The Nexus goes down, and ELOBlade takes the game. They take the series 2-0 over Fnatic. I just want to look back real quick at FnaticRaidCall when he made that beautiful double kill.
That
because
orb. Yeah, let's just slow-mo this. Oh, the
one
damage.
More time.
The damage
they're just wearing them down.
Does.
And with the regen from the Baron buff, they can tank that turret all day as they poke in on them.
Look at how much damage FnaticRaidCall just does on 2 shots. Attack, slow, boom. Wow.
Yeah, and then the Sona coming in, they get the follow-up, but as a whole, they were just far too tanky, you know, for Fnatic at that point in time. Yep. They were able to easily, you know, push in on them. And that was really the strength of the Cho and the Udyr in their team, is that they had that front line that they could kind of sit behind, and they weren't. I was kind of concerned that, you know, Fnatic might prove difficult if they could get Graves going, but Graves never really had the damage to take down those frontline tanks like he would like to.
Kerp got way too tanky. CottonX, but that's the strength of the Udyr. That's why you picked Udyr, when you want someone to run interference, when you need someone to soak, accept no substitutes to a man who wants to be a turtle. There goes the Nexus once again. ELOBlade, team number 3 in the EU, now qualified for IPL 5. We will be seeing them at the live show.
Yeah, so really impressive game. We'll see if we can get these stats going.
I hope we can get those stats, because I want some numbers.
Yeah, we can check out some of that stuff. The farm on FnaticRaidCall in particular. But really impressive play. And ELOBlade, they are a very new team, but everyone knew how strong Alternate was as a team before ELOBlade, and just mixing with Teamless, they've become that much stronger. I don't think we're going to get these stats, unfortunately. That's a shame.
Damn.
But again, really, really impressive play. FnaticRaidCall in particular in the mid lane with that Orianna play. He was super farmed in both games, but he was able to kite very effectively for his team, and everything worked together. They all, had a really nice synergy in team fights to not allow any advantages for Fnatic.
Beautiful, beautiful play. So ELOBlade will now be joining CLG EU and M5 as the European representation. IPL5 still need one more team from EU to join them. Qualifier number 4 will be starting on Tuesday. If you have not signed up, be sure to do so.
Neither SK or Fnatic have gotten in yet.
No,
so,
there's a lot of teams that SK hasn't gotten in, Fnatic hasn't gotten in.
Those are the two big ones.
Those are the two big ones, but there are still plenty of others that have shown a lot of promise. Megashock now is WinFact. They haven't. They've performed very well. Acer Poland, they've performed very well, but haven't gotten in either. Anything could happen. There's still one more online. Plus, you have the live qualifier coming up also. But one more online. This is your last chance. IGN.com/IPL if you want to get on that.
Yeah, so thanks again for watching ELOBlade. Congratulations on the EU qualifiers. We do have our NA semifinals this evening, and then I believe we're going to have...
Potential final. We don't know yet.
Well, I said semifinals.
Well, semifinal and potential final after it.
Right. So we're going to throw up a rebroadcast. We're actually going to throw up game number 2 of CLG versus Invictus Gaming from yesterday. If you didn't check it out, it was an incredible game.
It's pretty good.
So we'll throw up the rest of that set, and you can take a look at that. Then we're going to throw up the this series afterwards. So if you missed the beginning of it, you can keep attuned. But otherwise, go to IGN.com/IPL5. Check out tickets.
And in 5 hours, come on back, IG versus Monoferris for the NA qualifiers.